to the person in front of him, and maybe he might be inconsistent with how he addresses somebody else, but he's doing that for a reason. And so it was no surprise that when you go and ask him a question, he didn't really have anything to say. That's just who he is. So it's not Bob Iger 2.0. Might actually be worse, which is very unfortunate. I would have thought, I would have hoped, I should say, that Josh DeMar would have provided a little bit more substance to his answers. But that's not what we have seen. Now, maybe he gets a little bit looser, particularly in earnings calls. Earnings calls are when you get the hard-hitting questions from investors and so forth, saying, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? Hopefully, he provides a little bit more in terms of, when faced with tough or hard-hitting questions, maybe he provides a little bit more substance. I don't know for sure, but that's the hope. Out of the gate, though, yeah, indeed. American Raf, OG Dutchie, Ninja Pat, right there. A very disappointing shareholders call for sure. Let's go ahead and bring on somebody with their own opinion right here. Let's give a big round of applause to Ron from Follow the Bradleys Fun. Hello there, Ron. What is going on? How are you doing, sir? What did you think about this shareholders call?
I haven't had a chance to see. You're gonna have to tell me any news you got out of it. Tell me, and I will. I'll let you know because I really wasn't able to. It's just been a day, so my allergies are killing me. We're in full-blown allergy season here. I was kind of trying to watch Pro and then Valiant and then, but I wasn't able to quite catch everything that was said. My concern, Bob. So, okay, Bob's leaving, but leaving, right?
Allegedly.
So,
that's what we're being told. Go ahead.
Look, what I really want to know more than anything else, if Josh doesn't get the 2-shower office, then we've got issues. Josh needs his 2-shower office.
Remember that was a point of contention when Chapek was actually the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, right? He never got that corner office that, quite frankly, he should have had, which was not good right there. I will say, you didn't miss much, honestly, from that shareholders meeting. I think the things that were previewed were a little bit more substantial in my mind than what was actually said on the call. And what I mean said by on the call is after the sizzle reel, after the look at all that Bob Iger's accomplished over his entire career. Now we're in a new era. We're showcasing all this kind of stuff. After that, right, when you actually bring in the questions, or even, I should say, the proposals that were pretty much all struck down, which we'll get into as well, that portion of it, that really, people used to bring hard-hitting questions to these calls, folks. Back in the day, these shareholder meetings were actually conducted in public, right? Were in public areas where you could actually go to if you were a shareholder, get up to the mic and ask a question to Bob Iger directly on stage. That's how these used to work. And obviously COVID changed everything, and everything's handled virtually. Now everything is pre-screened for your protection. So unfortunately, we didn't get much in the way of substance there. Not just from the questions, which we were already predicting we weren't going to get a lot of. But man, some questions were actually pretty decent.
Was that guy there?
Didn't result in answers. But
was that guy from, what is he, from Variety Magazine? I can't remember. What's that guy's name? He's got the hussy voice and he talks. What is his name?
I don't remember at the top of my head right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
He said, Josh and Dana, are you going to be the gayest Disney leaders ever?
Right. Mark, is it Mark Malkin? Is it?
Yeah, I think that's it. But and I'm not trying to look. That's
Yeah, it's
his
Mark
question
Malcolm.
for literally everything that I've seen over the last couple of years. That's come. It doesn't matter if it's even if it's the straightest show. He'd probably still ask it. He'd be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, Tulsa King sliced alone. Is this going to be the gayest Tulsa King ever?" Like that's his thing.
Yeah, and
Why?
that
Why
is,
is that your go-to question? Is what I wonder.
well, they're
Why would you even
trying to
ask that?
elicit they're trying to elicit responses that showcase, the progressive nature of some of the maybe of these shows, right, in the modern era, or maybe from the writers or whatever. They're trying to highlight that, showcase that, because Variety, obviously, as I know, as a trade, right, they're looking to get headlines and they're looking to get, oh, this is what this person says about this very progressive show or whatever. That's what they're trying to bring out right there. Which, by the way, I mean, I got to be honest. If Mark Malcolm was actually asking questions, maybe we'd actually get, better questions asked and what was actually,
Yeah,
provided at the shareholders meeting, which is really sad. I do remember back in the day. Do you remember this, Ron? Back when they had these shareholders meetings back, pre-COVID, somebody would always get up there and ask Bob Iger the famous question. The famous question being, when are you going to release Song of the South on Blu-ray, or pick your format of choice? Do you remember those?
Right.
It was every single year.
And here's the thing, like, you have to go out of your way to tell people Song of the South is offensive in order for somebody to look at it in a way that it's going to be offensive. I always say, look, here's the deal. I understand when you are talking to an audience, right? You're talking to any audience, you try to aim what you're saying at that audience. I get that. But here, the thing about Song of the South is Song of the South was not created at the time to offend anybody. Looking at anything created in the past through today's lens, I think is a horrible way of looking at something. And when you have the first African American actor to ever be awarded an Academy Award, I mean, that was so progressive back then that I don't think he was even allowed to come to the Academy Awards. Like which is weird, right? It was.
I think he won an honorary Oscar because like you're right, Ron. I mean, back in the day, I mean, it just wasn't.
But still,
it just wasn't done.
Right, but that's the whole point. The whole point was that that was a progressive move back then for, and if you watch Song of the South, what you're seeing is a black person who becomes a father figure to white children. Like that's really what happens. If you take everything else out of it, you're going, wow, it's like people are saying, well, it's bad because people, showing people in a happy time that they shouldn't have been happy, but you're judging that from this point of view, from today's lens. You can't judge that. I Song of the South, the fact, and here's where I'm going with this: the fact that you have classic Disney songs that have come from that Zippity Doo-Dah, Laughing Place, these wonderful, wonderful songs that you don't even need a context of that movie to enjoy those songs, and now we can't even hear them in Disney parks is beyond the pale of ridiculousness for how woke this company got in the 2020 era, 2020, 2021, all, by the way, technically under Bob Iger, who was using Chapek as a scapegoat, who is now leaving where the stock is. Is this the current? It's under 100 right now?
Yeah, it's under 100 right now. This is no financial advice here. Obviously, Carmageddon says still below $100. Disney stock at $99.63. I believe $99.65 is going to be the most accurate reading on that. But thank you so much, Avarice, for that. Look, that's the problem.
I have a question, Vash.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to ask, okay, I did see this in the chats earlier that people were questioning how long Josh D'Amaro would stay, and would Dana Walden try to oust him in some way? Would she be the new CEO by this October? I don't see that happening. And the reason I don't see that happening is whether fans of the parks or fans of Disney like it or not, or maybe previous fans of Disney who haven't liked it, like myself. The fact of the matter is that with lightning lanes and with them aiming towards a higher per cap guest, in other words,
Yeah.
wealthier guests, the parks are succeeding. It's a fact of the matter. That is why Josh D'Amaro was elevated to the position of CEO, because he was overseeing that division. He was the chairman of Parks Products and Experiences, and I just here's what I see happening. If he works with Walden, and if they can work well together, and they both stay in their lanes at the same time, you can't undo some of the awful things that have been done, like getting rid of Tom Sawyer's Island, which to me, that's the top of my list, right? As Rivers of America, Tom Sawyer's Island, and MK, that's the top of my list of the bad things. Almost everything else you could kind of undo. You could make Star Wars great again. You could make Marvel great. The possibilities are out there if they come together and they go, you know what, we're going to go back to this formula where we are going to cater to the main audience, like to the everybody audience. We'll put the little Easter eggs in here and there and have, background characters or whatever that have these that cater to a smaller percentage of the audience. It was in every Disney film. I mean, if you look back in the 1990s and 2000s, there's always somebody in the background who goes like, there's that person in the audience who goes, oh, I could probably identify with them on this level, but it's not in your face and it's not to the kids. There's hope.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
There is. And that's the thing, right? So that's what I think a lot of people were hoping for with Josh D'Amaro's, CEO-ship, right? This change of course for the company. That can we course correct and just not be, conservative in our political leanings, just be maybe apolitical, maybe keep a lot of that stuff that would have otherwise divided outside of some of these big name products, that being like movies, television, and the parks themselves. Go ahead, Ron.
Tanisha, that looks like DEI. She's in charge of DEI, even though it's not called DEI.
She is in charge. She is a DEI officer, which they have changed her name and her position in order to obfuscate her role there. In order to here's the thing, Ron. Remember when the Trump administration actually came in, the mandate was out there that they're going to go after companies with specific terminology within their bios and leadership holdings and so forth. So they changed it. So just to give a little bit clarification there. And by the way, folks, we try not to focus in on politics on this channel, only because we really want to provide a experience, right, that doesn't inherently divide. However, there will be a little bit of politics in here, just a little bit. Because the leadership changes that have actually occurred actually interact with politics in a very interesting way that I think is worth highlighting. Go ahead, Ron, please.
Well, I was just saying, politics unfortunately cross paths, especially with the company that, like Disney, who unfortunately, big time, unfortunately, really dipped their foot into politics. By the way, Disney's always been involved in politics. If you look at who they were donating money to, but they kind of donated money to both sides in the past. And then
for a while,
pressure came down, and he's like, "No, we're not going to do that anymore." And then, when you're like. Fact of the matter is, Fortune 500 companies, they all play these games. It's not just Disney. It's Disney. Sure. It's part of playing the game. It is what they do. You got to know that.
And by the way, Ron, to your point, like in Florida, for example, they disproportionately, for a while there, were donating to conservatives and conservative politicians and so forth in that region. Why? Because they wanted to keep Rita Creek. So it's it's. They play the games and they do the thing. In 2020, though, in 2020 and 2021, according to Open Secrets, I believe, that definitely favored one side over another for sure. But that has been balancing out ever since that point right there. We'll have to see where everything goes. No politics were expressed, at least on the shareholders' meeting, which is good, outside of some proposals and so forth, which is regularly done. But you mentioned, Ron, before about being unified, And apparently that is something that Josh D'Amaro is looking to achieve with his new role as CEO. New Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro lays out his priorities in first memo to staff. As the executive starts on the job, he emphasized, quote, great storytelling, an embrace of technology, and operating as, quote, one Disney in the note. This is very interesting, Ron, because, and this is the Hollywood Reporter, March 18, 2026, by Alex Weprin. Very interesting, because in the shareholders meeting, and that kind of sizzle reel, there was actually a graphic that was put in place highlighting this one Disney effort. I thought that was very, very interesting, because I remember the one Disney effort for the parks trying to link up the operations of both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Unfortunately, it had to be torn down, and those resorts needed to be separated again, because they're just so, they're managed in such a different manner that there wasn't a lot of overlap there, and it was more efficient to actually separate them the way they have, and so they've maintained that leadership structure ever since. But one Disney I thought was very interesting. He says this. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of the Control F right here, because this is a big article. Finally, Josh D'Amaro framed his approach as one Disney in which all the different parts work together, while acknowledging the legacy Iger leaves and the current moment in media. This transition comes at a moment when the world is changing faster than ever, D'Amaro wrote. While that can feel daunting at times, it is also exciting. Disney has endured and thrived for generations by meeting change with vision, ambition, integrity, and optimism. Bob Iger has led this company in that spirit, and I'm grateful for his trust, mentorship, and the friendship through the years. He also said that, third, we will operate as one Disney. Our greatest advantage is not any one business, but how our global businesses come together. When our teams are aligned and working in a connected way, we can build on our strengths, reach people wherever they are, and deepen their relationship with Disney. This is very interesting, especially for the theme of this live stream, right? Clicked on, you saw power play. What is that all referring to? Well, Dana Walden has made a few moves before this shareholders meeting that obviously placed Dana Walden and Josh D'Amaro officially in their new roles. President and Chief Creative Officer and CEO, respectively. But, Ron, I think you bring up an interesting point, where if they can work together, they'll be okay. And I do agree with that. And I think this is what maybe might be emphasized here by Josh D'Amaro with this one Disney effort, right? It's like, hey, Dana Walden, please, let's be simpatico with what we want to do here, right here, because she made a lot of moves before today. I mean, she has moved all kinds of people in various positions, and has actually moved the video game segment of the company from the experiences segment to under the Disney Entertainment banner. So there's kind of two silos, right? Broadly speaking, there's entertainment, TV, cable, movies, everything that they actually produce for a screen, right? And then there is the parks, consumer products, right? Everything you interact
store.
with. Cruise line.
The Disney store.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
online Disney shopping though, and so all of
exactly. Disney store used to be on there, and now it's a little bit different, right? You're exactly right about that. But video games was under the experiences banner. Now Dana said, "Well, give me that too." Which is very interesting that she's going to be in charge of video games going forward, because that was not in her original charter. And
video games, although I can understand, though, I'm thinking about it in video games. Well, it is more entertainment. It's interactive entertainment. It kind of. Yeah, I understand. I almost think that might be a good move for her to be like, not necessarily that she's in charge of it, but as far as organizationally speaking, it gives Josh. Well, it gives not even Josh. It's what was his name? Moslum. Who's the one taking over the parks experience and products?
Thomas Moslum.
Muslim. Okay, so it gives him less to have to think about, less to have to worry about.
Well, I don't disagree with you, actually. I actually think that creatively, if you're going to get into the video game space, it should probably be under the entertainment banner rather than the experiences banner. The only reason I bring that up, and the only reason I kind of chuckle at this, is because we heard for months, maybe even years, especially since the Epic Games partnership, right? Yoshimaru talked about openly, oh, this is going to be great for the parks and so great for synergies, and it's a perfect place for games to find themselves, right? This is going to be a great relationship, and it's going to, you know, this is the optimum format for where we should be placing games, and the collaborations we can do, and just the amount of successful products we can actually bring to market through this whole thing. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be awesome. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Now it's going to be transferred from parks to entertainment. Then why did you talk so lavishly about this partnership specifically with parks when, I mean, you've changed it at this moment right here? And perhaps, you know, things change with Dana Walden accruing so much power in her new position right here. But I find it very interesting that it's like, that's not enough. We got to get more. Right. Well, here, and then make a couple changes down the line.
To be frank about it, video games, while they have been wanting to insert them into the parks in different ways, honestly, it's the last thing that the parks need. The parks need to get away from interactive experiences when it comes to electronics and the parks, because the whole point of going is to get away from that stuff. It's funny. I don't know if you remember, there was like a season of time where every park actually had an arcade in the park. Remember that? Like, I think there was one in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom. I could be wrong. I know the Six Flags has all had them, where like you'd be in the park, and then like, why would you want to go to a theme park and then go into an arcade in the theme park and spend 3 hours pumping quarters into those video games? That didn't make sense. The only one that ever made sense in my mind was the Disney Quest, where playing the games was actually, you know, they were retro games, and it was part of the experience of being at Disney Quest. And you wouldn't spend too much time. You might spend 15 minutes to a half an hour and then go do the other stuff. But right now, there is so much interaction in the parks and Disney parks where, like, for example, Galaxy's Edge, if you want to interact with anything in there, you have to get back on your cell phone and it drains power. It's people are walking around the parks on their phones trying to get lightning lanes and all that junk. And while at the same time, here's what Universal has done very, very intelligently with not so much games, but real experiences. They have the magic wands. And now you go to a store to have an experience where that wand selects you like it does in Harry Potter. Then you get the wand, and then you can go and you can interact with things in the park with the wand and have like an actual fun experience that's away from your cell phone, that's not on your cell phone. It just, I don't know. This whole Disney's a really, like, they've accumulated so much, especially under Bob Iger, that
yes.
I feel like they maybe just don't exactly know how to handle it all, and that's why we've seen so much of it fail.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and especially this started to become an issue, I think, in Michael Eisner's era at the very end there, where they, you know, bought .go or whatever for a huge amount of money, and that kind of failed, which was not good. We saw, you know, they wanted to buy the Mighty Ducks or whatever, and then maybe the Anaheim Angels, and it was just getting a little bit too broad. I think it was getting a little bit too wide, and those silos, I think, need to go a little bit more vertical than adding so many different things to the plate right there. This video game thing, Disney and the relationship with video games is very, very interesting, because, you know, they've gotten in love with it and fallen out of love with it multiple times. This has been going on since Michael Eisner's era, and then continuing in the Bob Iger era, almost almost uncontested. This whole thing of like, okay, so a video game company is going to reach out to Disney, And they're gonna be like, okay, hey, we want to go ahead and license their product for our game, right? We want to make a game based on one of your hit franchises, Lion King, Aladdin, or something like that. You remember the Sega games and all that back in the day? So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take your IP and bring it to market in this way. And then Disney looks at those returns and says, oh boy, the royalties are great, but man, what if we got into gaming? And then they say, okay, we're gonna go ahead and pull our licenses, pull our IP back, then we're gonna bring games to market. Then those games fail. And then it's like, okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up, folks. Let's go back to the licensing royalty thing. And then the licensing royalty thing goes to other companies. They say, whoa, wait a minute. This is huge. Ron, look at how much money we're making in video games. Let's go ahead and get into video games ourselves. Yeah. And then this process repeats and repeats and repeats.
Where is Disney with any of the Marvel games? Like the Marvel games you can play on your phone, the Marvel games you can play online. There's a whole slew of Marvel games. Is that just licensing? Because like the one I played, licensing, Contest of Champions is a Kabam game, right? So like Disney's not making that game, so they're getting a license fee. It just, I don't, it's not really the only Disney game that I can ever think of that I've played that's a Disney game, and I don't even know if Disney owns that one, is I can't remember the name of it, but there's like Mickey Mouse and a sort of a haunted house adventure kind of a thing, and I can't remember. I don't even remember the name of the game. I know I played it, but it's just like it's a weird thing. So you have ABC, you have ESPN, you have Hulu, you have Disney Plus, you have everything they're producing for movies where they own Marvel, they own Star Wars, they own all of these IPs, and now games, and perhaps their partnership with Epic Games, and this is all the stuff that Walden is going to oversee, but also Walden overseeing. But what about like creative decisions that have to go to the parks division, and what happens there?
We'll go into that a little bit, Ron, because I think it's a great question.
Like the it's not just the leadership that has changed; it's also the organization. Correct?
That's the thing. So, as chief creative officer, right? Anything you approve for the studios, whether they be cable television, streaming, movies, animation, all of that decision emanates with Dana Walden and her cadre of folks. And then the parks will pick from that to adapt that for, the parks themselves. So that's kind of how this is all working. I want to go ahead and bring on somebody who is a dear friend and somebody who knows the inner workings of Burbank pretty well. I had to call him on this one because, hey, we're covering the shareholders meeting and everything that is taking place around it. I am working on a clip for you, good sir, but you can kind of guess who this is based on this one right here. Oh, yes, he's in an orange grove. He's picking them oranges. It is OG55. Hello there, sir. What is going on today?
Doing good, Vash. How are you and Ron doing today?
Very, very good.
Doing very good. Very good. Now,
I have one of those baby Yodas back here somewhere behind me, but there it's actually behind all of this.
I love it.
Well, okay. So did you, sir, OG55, did you actually see the 2026 annual shareholders meeting for yourself?
I didn't get a chance because I'm actually coming to you from my lunch break, so I was working. But
of course,
the changes, the restructuring, I am very familiar with because Dana Walden has a lot of power now. Dana is running a whole lot, and they moved that, like you were talking before I came on. All that gaming stuff was experiences. Now it's coming over to Dana's division. Now, here's the thing, too, guys. This is something that I think is very important. And my parks people might disagree with me on this, which is fine. But I think Disney's a studio first. And I think that now more than ever, Disney is depending on those IPs, right? So those parks are depending on those IPs and the output from that studio more than they ever have. Gone are the days of like a Big Thunder or a Space Mountain or a Expedition Everest. Now everything is an IP. So
Yeah.
when you really look at it, I mean, we could even say, okay, well, Dana's not really running the parks, but I mean, she kind of is, though, right? I mean, if you're controlling the output for all the parks, you're kind of running the whole show.
You are, and Disney brands itself not as an amusement company, right, or a theme park company. They brand themselves as an entertainment company, partially tech company, but that's all for a whole other story. Entertainment's their bread and butter. It's the heart. It's the heartbeat of everything they do. And now you're not entrusting that solely with Josh Giamaro. You're really giving that off in a big way to Dana Walden, which I thought was very interesting because in the shareholders meeting, you really didn't get to hear from Dana Walden or heard her referenced much at all outside of a few comments from Bob Iger and James Gorman. Very, very interesting. But I want to go over with you.
At the Oscars, though.
She was at the Oscars. That's true. They were together at the Oscars, which I do have tweets on that, but you believe.
Well,
I want to go ahead
and real quick, Vash, that's the frustrating thing that I'm actually kind of, when it comes to the way they've been handling this. I think Josh has been really good overall, right? He's a smoozer. He's a very charismatic dude. I am a little bit frustrated though that they're not allowing Dana to kind of be there with him more. I feel like I've seen more of Josh and Bob, but like, I don't really care. Like, I mean, not to be mean. I mean, look, and I actually think Bob Iger has done a lot of great stuff for the company. I have. He's made his mistakes, but I do think there's a lot of good stuff there to be had for sure. But Bob is the past though at this point. Like, I want to see more of Dana. Like, she's the future. And I feel like I'm seeing more of Josh and Bob, which is like, I don't really care what Bob's doing, to be honest with you at this point. He's not running the company anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I do agree with you. And I really want to see more of Dana because, like I told you, I think over text, she is basically CEO in everything but name only, at least for a large portion of what Disney does, which is creative. And that right there, I mean, if you're hinging all your bets on this woman right here, I mean, there's a huge amount of trust that has to go into something like that, and I think that's why Josh Giamaro might be calling for a one Disney type mentality. Hey, let's all be on the same page together because we're gonna have to work together in order to make this through here. Very interesting. OG, Ron, I want to go through. Please.
Well, I was just gonna say real quick, if I had to guess why we've seen so much of Bob and Josh, is because the public perception is going to be that Bob is handing off the reins to Josh, and that's what they really want the public to perceive right now, because Josh has a great reputation. Like, pretty much, I know cast members love him. I've met him. He was nice, and he across the board, I think, has a good reputation for Wall Street, and it's all about perception. But now is the time to shift. Iger's gone. I think there needs to be some type of a meeting, and it may hopefully before the next shareholders, but where there's something on stage. Certainly, we're going to need to see a Dana at D23. We're going to need to see how the entertainment division is going to affect the parks. Like Orange Grove said, she's kind of with being in charge of the IP. You're kind of in charge of the parks in a lot of ways, and we need to see how that's going to affect certain things. For example, over here on the East Coast, Monsters Inc. When do we get the announcement about how the Monsters Inc. What's the third movie going to be about? How is that going to affect what's going to happen in the parks? Are people going to love something? A lot of people, Muppets Courtyard was beloved but old, and so people are going to be like, hey, Monsters Inc. was from 2001. How are you going to make it popular enough that part of the park is going to be just, gangbusters? Dana is the one who's going to be able to tell us that because she's going to be someone in charge of Pixar and what's coming out of there. So it's going to be interesting. I want to see more of Dana and Josh together. And if we're going to do this one Disney thing, that's what it's going to be.
Great point. And another thing too that I want to bring up real quick is that I will say this. I will give Dana some credit here. I will give her some credit here because it was Alan Bergman who was in charge of the theatrical, which he still is, right? But Dana was more entertainment, right? And like Hulu and that stuff. And I will say, to her credit, the Hulu stuff has been pretty successful in terms of quality and what have you. So I'm actually for that in that regard, I actually I'm a little bit encouraged in regards to like what she might bring now running the theatrical, because the theatrical has been struggling quality wise, big time. I think her division with Hulu, I think Hulu has been more successful, especially with the quality than the theatrical. So I hope that with her kind of overseeing this stuff, we see that quality kind of bleed into the theatrical. I don't know. We'll see though.
I hope so. And I mean, look at Disney Animation right now. What, the 4th straight year at the Oscars? Nowhere to be found. That's no good, especially when you have 2 animation studios and used to be #1 in that heading right there. It wasn't so long ago that Up was almost nominated for Best Picture, not Best Animated Film, Best Picture. And look at where we are right now. Not good. Hopefully, that quality, that Dana maybe brings to this could be imbued in some of these decisions. I'm not so sure, but we can look at these decisions that she's made recently and maybe have a tinge of optimism when it comes to maybe some of her appointments here, because as the Wrap has listed here by Lucas Manfredi, March 16th, Disney's Dana Walden sets senior leadership team for entertainment division. Key takeaways. Senior team appointments include Dana Walden names leadership for Disney Entertainment. Alan Bergman remains studio chairman, so he's still going to be head of the studio right there. It's interesting, some of these positions actually answer to both Walden and Alan Bergman in some respects, while Joe Early and Adam Smith co-lead the direct-to-consumer division overseeing Disney Plus and Hulu. If you're not familiar with these guys, you can see them right here. This is Joe Early. He has been named co-president of direct-to-consumer, or DTC. That is Hulu, that is Disney Plus, and as well as Adam Smith. Here's what was interesting about these two people. They come from kind of a DTC background. If I have my stuff here, the most interesting and exciting part of Disney's leadership reorg is that it's not getting talked about is that the former Google/YouTube chief product officer Adam Smith, by which Greenfield, by the way, has been elevated to the co-head of Disney's DTC business. Placing a tech/product person without legacy ties to Disney or Fox in charge of streaming is a big deal and signals a strategy shift under Giamaro as CEO. That's interesting.
That is, and that points to what Josh said. He's a risk taker. I think we're going to see a lot, assuming we take him at his word, right? I think we're going to see a lot of kind of out of the box sort of decisions here. And I do believe gaming, he's going to really lean into that. I mean, I the whole time leading up to this appointment, he was talking about the gaming. That's going to be a big deal for Disney going forward, for better or worse, And I think, even today he mentioned, I think, didn't he say, I think streaming is a priority for them as well. So it's not changing, and that's fascinating that they don't have traditional legacy ties though. He's looking outside a little bit, right?
Well, I think you have to, right? When you look at YouTube, when you look at this platform, you look at how successful it absolutely is. I think it has brought in $40 billion in ad revenue, which is more than any other entertainment company combined. Well, maybe not combined, but in every instance, more than any one of those individually. It is incredible, right? So to get a little bit of that thinking within these DTC divisions is not maybe necessarily a bad thing, especially when it comes to the cost of content. This is really what destroyed Chapek and had him lose the CEO-ship, because the costs associated with streaming, right? Because they had incurred, a $2 billion hit on, or close to it, on that last earnings call that saw him be removed from the company. Everybody was like, whoa, I thought we had already hit peak costs before. Now these are these are huge costs incurred. We have to make this division profitable. And so DTC is going to be a huge thing. Sean Shoptaw, EVP of Disney Games and Digital Entertainment, he's going to be the guy looking to bring Disney into the gaming sphere, as O255 beautifully pointed out. We also got, very interestingly enough, a new chief communications officer. Now, I always thought that Asad Ayaz was kind of the guy for this role right here, but maybe perhaps working under him, Senior Executive Vice President of Chief Communications, they have an image problem. And maybe they're bringing somebody in here to help Asad Ayaz right that ship a little bit. Assad actually internally, according to Wall Street Journal and other places, have said that we're trying to refocus the company towards a more apolitical direction, which I think is good. Maybe this is to help with that, facilitate that.
100%. And I do want. Oh, go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry, bro.
I was just gonna say, you think Disney has an image problem? What?
Well, it's out there, you know. I mean, the comments about
pulled it. Rasmussen had pulled it, and it's you know, I don't remember what the lowest year was, but I know either in 2022 or 2023, there were like less than 50% of people polled that had a good a good view of the Disney company at that time, which, you know, it is Walt created something that was very specifically designed to bring families together to have memorable family experiences, whether it was in front of the movie theater or in front of the movies at the movie theater, at home in front of the television, or in the parks. And I don't think that Walt would have ever seen a division created based on certain ideologies. And I think that's what has happened, unfortunately, too much over the last 10 years when it comes to the Disney company. The whole, like, inclusion, when you say that word, it's supposed to be an umbrella that brings everybody in together. But when you start focusing on certain groups, whether it's this way or that way, it doesn't really matter. If you're really like keyed into focusing on particular groups, guess what? Other people are going to look at that and go, well, now you're not focusing on me anymore. And it doesn't even really matter what the ideology is. That's what it looked like Disney was doing. And that's hopefully what this guy's going to course correct.
Hopefully. So I will say, and I'll go ahead there to you, OG, very, very quickly here. You know, Mark Mitchell has done some polling. For sure, Disney's image, at least in the minds of the American public, you know, has changed slightly over time. And I think it was Michael Eisner who recently gave that interview, right? The messenger interviews online that we've seen in multiple formats and so forth. He even said, like, hey, look, you kind of want to appeal to both sides. You want the biggest, broadest audience possible in order to get people to see your pictures. With Walt Disney, he was very anti-red, and I'll just go ahead and leave that there. Pretty openly about that for sure. But he was very patriotic at a time when patriotism wasn't necessarily political, which is a little bit an interesting product of the culture at that time and so forth. What do you think, OG? Do you think that this is something that has been worked on in very recent years? Do you think this is something that can be healed, let's say, with product statements, everything else? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I do. I Bob Iger came out. I think the low point was like the Reedy Creek stuff. I think that was when they were really embroiled, no matter what side of the aisle people are on. I think that was a point when it was really like they were just really entrenched in all this stuff, right? I do believe Bob Iger has come out since then, when he came back in 2022, I believe, and said, hey, you know what, we're going to moderate the company. And I do believe, well, not perfect. I do believe they've moved in that direction, right? So I do believe it's improving. Work to do? Yeah, absolutely. But I do believe it's moving in the right direction. I don't think we see as much negative sentiment out there like we did before. And honestly, there's been a lot of distractions too, though. Like, I feel like the Warner Brothers Netflix stuff has sort of like diverted the eyeballs a little bit. So you don't have like everything on Disney necessarily right now. So that has definitely helped too. So I do believe it is improving. But again, there's always, I think there's room for improvement. I think they're working in that direction. D'Amaro, I mean, honestly, our good friend Jared captured the magic. Big shout out to him. He's great. He was saying on a recent show that I did with him where, like, we don't know D'Amaro's politics. We don't, right? So that's something to be said, right? Now, here's the thing too, though. I will say this: he's the parks guy, or was the parks guy, so that doesn't come up as much in his division than it would in Dana Walden's division, because Dana Walden deals with like ABC and like news and all that. So there is a little bit of that, right? Where like D'Amaro doesn't really have to meddle in that, because you're not going to have Trump or Kamala dealing with the parks so much, right? So I think there's a little bit of that there, but I do also believe D'Amaro has been very successful in sort of navigating that, where he hasn't really chimed in on that too much. He's kind of kept to his own, which is good, right? So I think we're moving in the right direction.
What you're saying is they've never broadcast The View live from Walt Disney World or Disneyland.
Exactly.
Which is
exactly.
Remember when they used to do like Epcot would do America's Favorite, was it America's Favorite videos, home videos or whatever? That used to broadcast like some of their shows from Epcot, which I remember being in the park when they were doing that, and it was actually kind of cool at the time. I loved when they did when they can have that kind of a synergy between what's going on in the parks and the television specials, and which they do, of course, like around the holidays every year, for example. And I think that's really, really good for the parks, and I hope to see kind of more of that. It would be nice to see that synergy between parks and between entertainment and the right kind of stuff brought in. I would still love to see more stuff. You talked about IPs, and I would love to see something created specifically for the parks first, but that they know will be an IP in the movies or television space later. I have personally, I wish I could pitch it to somebody. I have an amazing idea for what you could do with Figment. But
and that's the interesting thing, Ron. Josh Schumer was asked about Figment on this shareholders meeting, which I thought was very interesting. He gave a non-answer, but it's still at the top of mind for many fans out there. So you're not the only one that has this thought about some of these things. I want to go ahead and bring on somebody before we get to our. Well, hold on that thought. Let me go ahead and bring Erica in. We'll go through your idea. We have limited time with the amazing Orange Go 55. I gotta ask him on one thing right there, so we'll go ahead and hold that, Ron, just for a little bit, and then we will go ahead and showcase your amazing idea for Figment. It is the one, the only Erica from Erica and Ref. Hello there.
Hi.
How are you doing today? Man, it is quite the crazy day.
Yes, it's been crazy. I woke up with a slight migraine, but got it under control, got through the shareholders call. Here I am.
Yeah. And it was interesting, to say the least, for sure. It was, boy, not a lot said, unfortunately. I think the most interesting things were, now, OG, have you seen this show Shogun, right? That's taken the world by storm. I think it's the most popular thing that's ever been on Hulu in like a decade. But go ahead.
I haven't, but our good friend Jay Shear in the chat said that he loved it. So, I mean, and I heard good things about it. I know my other friend Tones loved it, so that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when Dana comes in. I mean, there has been, to be fair to Dana, there has been a lot of quality on her watch. And I know even at Fox, Rupert Murdoch, I mean, he was very, very bullish on Dana, so, well, and this is the thing too. Okay. Nathan's comment kind of ties into kind of what I'm going to say here in a second, but Nathan says OG 55 is being very blue sky. I am, because we don't really know. Like, we have a history with these executives. We know what Josh Giamaro has done. We know what Dana Walden has done, but we really don't know until they get in there and they have the control. Remember, Josh and Dana were answering to Bob. They were trying to climb that ladder, and they were answering to Bob. Now that they don't have that, now they don't have to deal with trying to impress Bob. What are they going to do? Now we'll see the real Bob, and now we'll see the real Josh and Dana, because before they were trying to impress their boss, right? Kind of like when Bob Iger came in. I remember I was in the community when Bob Iger came in after Michael Eisner, and everyone in the community was like, "Oh yeah, Bob Iger, he's an Eisner 2.0. He's an Eisner yes man. He gets in, he's completely different because Bob no longer had to answer to Michael anymore. He did his own thing." I think we're going to see a similar dynamic here with these two. It's going to be different, for better or worse. I don't know, but we'll see. But we don't really know. We are blue skying it, Nathan, because we don't really know. Once they're in there, we'll kind of get a better idea. But it's going to be different because now they're not answering to their boss, Bob Iger.
That's very true. We do have a little bit of insight in maybe where some of this is going, because this was so crazy of a story that I was able to do when it came to investigatory work. I mean, it's just like when I discovered all this stuff, I was like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting at all. Okay, so we know about some of the changes that have been taking place within Dana Walden's creative field, right? And we just went over a few changes at DTC, a few changes in at the head of games and so forth. This is where it brings us here to Deborah O'Connell. Okay, so this is by Nellie Andriva, March 16th, 2026. Disney's Deborah O'Connell sets direct reports, including Craig Erwich, who adds 20th TV oversight. So she made moves upon her getting the new position as, let me go ahead and get her position right here, has been named chairman of Disney Entertainment Television. She's in charge of all of TV for Disney. We'll go into Craig Erdwich in just a second, but let's go ahead and focus and hone in on Deborah for just a moment right here, because she, very interestingly enough, has an interesting history with the Walt Disney Company, and maybe keying in on what exactly we're talking about here when it comes to quality, and maybe the apolitical nature of where Disney might be heading. I say might very assuredly right here. So she was brought in back in 2024, I believe in March or February of 2024. She was brought in to oversee ABC News, and she was put in charge of the division that was basically solely managed by Kim Godwin. Kim Godwin actually being the first African American in that role, which is very, very interesting. But Godwin had not been really looked at fondly by this time. In fact, actually, the New York Post back in the day says that Staffordshire ABC News shakeup as President Kim Godwin days could be numbered sources. The reason why they're saying this is because it was very tumultuous at this time. I mean, the George Stephanopoulos thing had taken place, right, where he made accusations against now the 47th president of the United States, President sues and so forth, right? That whole thing emanates at a time when Kim Godwin was at the helm right there. You saw, I think like The View didn't have a conservative on for a while, and just all of these things that were taking place inside. But I according to my research, Kim Godwin had created this aura of dysfunction, I think, that people working there could actually attribute to her, which I found very, very fascinating. Deborah is brought in to clean things up. And apparently she is no nonsense, very goal-oriented, very focused, very driven, works on weekends, and she's very candid about her displeasure with her with her subordinates, that being Kim Godwin. Eventually, Kim Godwin is forced to step out, I believe, about 3 months later. So this is May 5th of 2024. And then Deborah takes the lead. Now, here's what's also interesting about this. Not only does she fix some things going on within Disney, ABC News and so forth, but apparently she was very, very frustrated over the George Stephanopoulos incident. Apparently she said that she was furious and she threatened to take him off the air for his, what she called, lack of objectivity back in the day. That's very interesting. Apparently not big fans there. And guess what she does about it? Following the election, November 2024, she has dinner with none other than Susie Wiles. Now, if that name isn't familiar with you, that was the campaign manager previously for Donald Trump, now the 47th president of the United States. She is his chief of staff. So Deborah O'Connell goes down to Palm Beach, has dinner with Susie Wiles. A couple days later, that's when George Stephanopoulos officially settles with Trump over that whole thing. And apparently that emanates specifically from Deborah O'Connell. So, and back at the time that this took place, people were not too friendly with Deborah, as you can see in this post right here. Now, I'm not going to read this out. You can kind of just read the screen right there and get a sense of how they felt about Deborah O'Connell back when this actually took place. This was a very controversial thing for a lot of people out there because they felt that they had put pressure on George Stephanopoulos to fold. But here's the thing. She was protecting the network. She was trying to protect Disney, ABC News, and all of that from the ire of what they felt might be coming down from the Trump administration. This is kind of interesting because she's not so ideologically set that she doesn't see the big picture and understand why this might be a bad look and why this might be a bad thing for the company and so forth. She's willing to look at it and go, hey, we got to be able to play ball. And in her view, at least according to The Independent anyway, she felt that George Stephanopoulos was not objective in his reporting. And she was furious over that because that, put the emphasis on an aspect of this news organization that didn't need to be made at that point. Very interesting stuff. I want to go ahead and go to OG because I know he's running out of time right here. What do you think about the appointment of Deborah O'Connell as the head of not just ABC News now, but the entirety of television for the Disney Corporation?
Yeah, she's not just running. Yeah, she's running the whole kit and caboodle. Nat Geo, even 20th century, the whole shebang. But this points to the idea that we were talking about earlier, where Disney is trying to moderate. Right? Like she's off, like you were saying, she's not idealistic. Like she's, what I'm saying? She was willing to meet with Trump's people, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So this is the new direction, I think, for Disney. Now, do I think Disney's going to go full conservative? No, absolutely not. It's Hollywood. They're never going to be a conservative. It's never going to be the Daily Wire. It's never going that's never going to happen. And it shouldn't. I don't think they should go that way either. I think either way is not the right move, right? But I do believe they are trying to moderate, kind of right the ship where they're not so embattled in this political stuff. And this appointment, and it kind of proves that, right? This appointment kind of shows you, like, you know what, they don't want to get back into that mess again. And it's kind of proof right here that's the direction they're going in. And it's good to see that, because you don't want to get too. These companies will always have some political footprint, right? Like you're always going to have something, right? Like these companies, Comcast, Disney, Warner, they donate to all the parties. You know what I'm saying? They do. And they've been doing that for God knows how long, right? Mm-hmm. To be too openly out there with it. You don't want to be openly conservative. You don't want to be openly progressive. You want to just kind of be entertainment company, kind of do your thing, right? So I think this points in that direction. I really, really do. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, you never know, right?
That's what I'm saying. This was an appointment by Dana. Dana understood the history when it came to this whole situation, right? And we've known Dana's history when it comes to, I think she was on one of Biden's administration councils, if I'm not mistaken. She obviously friends with Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, interestingly enough. I just saw a photo of them together when doing research for this segment right here. So we know her history, and I think a lot of people fear that, hey, maybe this is going to be a bad influence. But knowing Deborah's history, she puts this person in charge of Disney Television. And look, here's the thing. You have to have a tough player in this field, right? Because television is on the downslope. Maybe it's not even a thing with streaming taking off the way it has been, okay? So you got to make some tough choices, tough decisions, which Deborah has been attributed to making before. So I think she might be the perfect person for this job. Yeah. And I think that is an example of them leading not by ideology, but by what needs to be done. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing too. And I've been saying this for a really long time. And I think it bears repeating, where Dana is a progressive. She doesn't pretend not to be. She's friends with Kamala. She votes Democrat, right? No secret there. But I've been saying for a real long time, she worked really well with conservative Rupert Murdoch. Rupert really liked her. She did a great job at Fox. And now we're seeing her appointing Deborah, who clearly has, I don't know her political standing, but clearly, not.
She's willing to play ball a little bit, I think.
Exactly. She's willing to play. Yeah, exactly. So that speaks to Dana and her leadership, where she's able to put that stuff aside and be like, you know what, this is what's right for the company. And it's consistent with what we've seen with her at Fox, with Rupert Murdoch. Right. And the thing too is, and this is what I've been saying too for a while, I think a lot of the mess, and I could be wrong, and this is just OG speculating, I could be completely wrong, but I think a lot of the mess that she got in at Disney with with the debates and all that, I think there was a lot of meddling involved because we're seeing a different Dana now. We're seeing a different Dana now, and we saw a different Dana at Fox. But man, when she was working under Bob Iger, though, it was a different story, wasn't it? Why is that?
Well, and then there's also the point, you've got another big thing happening in media somewhere else that this appointment makes a lot of sense in response to, and that's Barry Weiss over at CBS, over with the Ellisons, looking like the purchase, Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brother, CNN, Barry Weiss. I mean, you put all that together, and you need to have somebody in there that can compete with that, and this seems to be the right person for that particular job. So we don't, I don't live in the Burbank bubble. I've been to Burbank. But all of these guys, like, they know each other. They know what's going on. They communicate with each other. They see each other out at restaurants, and sometimes they have dinner together, whatever. But it's all, there's like it's a machine, right? And it works together in this cranks, and they know what they're doing. So I think in this appointment, absolutely, she knows exactly what she's doing with the competition and everything else that's coming along. And we hope, anybody that's hopeful for what we want the Disney brand to become, because this is, we have a very potential fresh start. And Josh and Dana both, they have to become their own people. They are no longer, to the point that Orange Grove 55 was making, they are no longer Bob's Josh and Bob's Dana. They are just Josh and Dana, and they get to do something completely new. And this is the opportunity for both of them to show the Disney fans, the Disney fandom, the audience, maybe some of the people that have turned away from Disney in the past. It's the opportunity for both of them to show there's a reason for you guys to return to the Disney fandom, and we're going to give you what you want. The only thing about this today that concerns me with the call itself is a big distraction that was also released to kind of get people's minds maybe a little bit away from this earnings call. There's a big trailer drop this morning from Disney / Marvel / Sony that may have taken some eyeballs off of this. I don't know.
That's a good point. We can get into that a little bit right there. I want to be respectful of OG's time. He is very limited right now. He's on his lunch break. So we got to go ahead and get him out of here real fast. Yeah. OG, why don't you go ahead and talk about the channel and maybe our appearance on Capture the Magic on Friday. Please go ahead.
Sir, yeah, you can find me right here on YouTube, Orange Grove 55. We talk a lot about a lot of similar stuff that like what we do here on Vash's channel, where we talk a lot about the Disney parks, the studio. We speculate. We even nerd out. We break out the Google Maps. How are we going to fit these attractions in certain? We get super nerdy with it. I love it. But you can catch us over there at Orange Grove 55, and you can also check Vash. Will be joining us on Capture the Magic's channel. Shout out to Jared from Capture the Magic and Theme Park Philosophy. We'll be doing a big show, a live show this Friday on Capture the Magic's channel. Theme Parking. We do it bi-weekly, and we're going to be talking shop with myself and Vash and Theme Park Philosophy, all the news of the week. So make sure you check it out. And Vash, I want to thank you, Ron, Erica. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I loved your insight. I loved hearing all of it. I drove to the base to pick up my son. I was listening to everything the whole time.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And it's always a good time. So whenever I can jump on, I will definitely. So, hey, shoot me that text message, Vash. I'm always down.
Absolutely. No worries about that. You'll always be invited here, OG. Thank you so much for coming on. Very much appreciate you. OG55, guys, make sure you subscribe to his channel. Go and show he's got it in the chat right there. Thank you so much for good shirt. And I will finish your clip by the time you come back, all right?
Sounds like a plan.
It's in the work in progress.
Sounds like a plan. Have a good one, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Bye, OG.
Very much appreciate that. Erica, let's go ahead and get you in on this conversation right here.
I gotta get going too, Vash.
No, Ron, you gotta get.
Where are you going?
Dang it, Ron. Okay. Before you leave, Ron.
I know.
You gotta tell us your figment, because I promised you.
Oh yeah.
Tell us.
No,
tell us your figment idea.
All right, so
of inspiration.
So here's my idea would not be for a movie, but would be for a television show on Disney Plus, specifically for kids, called Figment and the Dream Finders, or the Dream Finders. It'd probably be Figment and the Dream Finders. My idea is that the original Dream Finder that we know from the parks is no longer with us, but he's passed on a message, and this kid finds it, and what happens, some sort of magical MacGuffin, right? And the kid finds it, and he opens it up, and Figment pops out, and then there's this whole thing where he goes along, and they collect other people, and they become the Dream Finders. That this little team becomes the Dream Finders, and from week to week, they go on different stories exploring what the imagination can do with Figment.
Ooh.
And because they're the Dream Finders, they can be a diverse group of kids where you have different cultural backgrounds and different things like that. You know, like what I think the perfect blend of what Disney wants with diversity without technically being woke about it, where you got different kids with different backgrounds who can explain different things about their cultures and things like that. And then they have adventures around the world where Figment can take them to different places. And the whole thing becomes Figment and the Dream Finders. My idea is that this would go along with what I want to have happen in the parks, which is Figment actually moving from the current Imagination Pavilion to what used to be Wonders of Life. And that building that was supposed to be the Play Pavilion, remember that idea? My idea was that Figment goes over there, and the pavilion itself becomes Imagination at Play with Figment. And the whole thing is very, very interactive, but there's also a brand new Figment attraction with the new Figment and Dream Finders, blah blah blah. And then what is currently the Imagination Pavilion becomes the Pavilion of Light, and that becomes really part of World Nature, which you'd have something focused on light and how sunlight brings life which flows into the land, right? So you have light. Then that light flows into the land. You have soaring, so you have the air, the land goes over to the living seas, and then you also have the way of water. It basically makes a flow over at Epcot, and then you have Figment over at the other side, which is World Discovery, when you need imagination for discovery. It's all very synergistic and makes sense in my head, at least.
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome. I think, man, I would very much be interested in Disney pursuing that, maybe on Disney Plus, maybe on Hulu or something. Get it out there, Ron. You have such great ideas, man. It's so good. And by the way, I think we have like a super chats. I think it's through Ron's channel right here. But Wildman, you have with the $50. Goodness gracious, Ron, I haven't watched it yet, but I apologize. Doesn't matter what I think. The point is, I offended her. My apologies. I can do better.
Thank you, Wildman.
Referencing.
Appreciate that. I will let Virginia know, and we appreciate that. She'll be very, very happy to hear that, Wildman. Awesome.
Cool.
Super duper.
Fantastic stuff right there. Wildman, thank you so much on Ron's behalf right here.
People have been asking about. It was a thing. I know look, I get it. Wildman's kind of like me, tries to be funny, and then sometimes I say things or whatever, and I'm trying to be funny, but it just didn't hit the person
Didn't land.
Way. We've
been there.
Erica, I probably said things to Erica that she's been offended by when it comes to Germany and sausage and wiener and stuff like that. I don't know.
No, not really. Not yet. Okay. But I'll let you know.
It'll happen again. Anyway, I apologize.
I'm very hard to offend. Very hard.
Military wife. Come on. She's good stuff right there.
Can't wait
Ron.
For all, thank you, Vash, for having me. Thank you, Erica, OG, Orange Grove 55. Awesome stuff. And I hope to be on more panels with you in the future. And I'm sorry I got to go. It's a busy day. There's homeschooling. There's all kinds of stuff out there.
I didn't know. That's going to be my feeling right there. I do apologize, Ron. But hopefully we get to incorporate as many comments from you as possible right there to maximize your time. Thank you so much, Ron, for coming on. You are awesome. You are incredible. You are great. Go ahead and follow the Bradley's Fun at Follow the Bradley's Fun right there in the chat. I believe Go and Shogi has the link for you. And if not, well, I'm sure it's in the link in this description of this video. Thank you so much, Ron. Very much appreciate your time. And great Figment idea as well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so it's interesting, Erica. Before we get to your comments on all of this and more, I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on all of this. People have been asking about monetization on this channel right here.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm curious too.
I am proud to announce, guys, that we have met the first threshold for monetization. That's 3,000 watch hours right there, and I believe 1,000 subscribers. So we have hit them both. Awesome stuff. We will be having a 2K stream next week. And then we will bring out not just monetization, but also memberships. This is something that I've wanted to do ever since That Pod Place or T3PO days. I have wanted to do memberships. I couldn't, unfortunately, commit to, the value that people expect when they do memberships. And it always frustrated me. It always was like, I really want to do these, but I couldn't do it. Now I finally can. So we will be bringing up memberships next week, folks. Go ahead and stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome because my ideas are, man, I can't wait to bring out what I want to bring out with you guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So absolutely,
That's
guys,
so awesome.
You made it happen. You guys out there made it happen.
I feel like I need
and now
a
we got to
party
get back
hat.
to you.
I'll bring a
yes,
party
yes.
hat next week. I'll go to the store and I'll buy a party hat.
Fantastic, Erica. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun right there. But thank you so much for making it happen. Awesome stuff. Now, let's go ahead and get back to a little bit of Deborah O'Connell right here and what we were talking about before. Your thoughts on the changes here at the executive level within Disney right there. Do you think this signals maybe a change of thinking? Or do you think it's going to be same old with Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden in place? Your thoughts, please, Erica.
I'm 50-50. It's part of me is like, okay, seeing a little bit of that moderation that OG55 was talking about. Well, at the same time, I feel like we're not going to see much change. But then I'm back to, well, it was D'Amaro's first, shareholders call in the role. We can't expect too much so soon. He needs to come into his own as a leader, which can take time. It's like rediscovering yourself when you are in such a lead position. I'm really all over the place, and I'm kind of with Valiant in terms of we'll know a year from now better than what we know now, because it's really too soon to judge the guy and how the two of them are going to work together or against each other. We don't know. It really could go either way, which is why there's so much buzz on, in this space, on all sides, which I love hearing all the different points, because almost every point has has validation. And it's so crazy because we really don't know that's what creates all the buzz,
We don't know. And that's the thing. That's why I'm such a historian by nature, because it's really the only way to predict the future at all. And that's not always one-to-one, obviously.
But then sometimes I'm like, but maybe there'll be a break in history and there'll be this great turnaround, and Disney will go back to being that golden trophy again, that it was when we were growing up. Mm-hmm. Like we really want it to be that again.
I am desperately hoping that we get back to that kind of, at least pre-COVID thinking, but certainly, maybe Eisner type thinking, where Eisner was very candid. He was like, look, listen, you want to go ahead and appeal to both sides of the spectrum because you want to go ahead and maximize your consumer base, right? We've seen a little bit of that from like Pixar, for example. Pete Docter, he had the, we're not doing therapy or whatever comment that a lot of people, I think, maybe reacted to a bit too strongly to, but didn't really focus on everything else that he might have said. But he has kind of taken this tact of, hey, look, listen, if we're going to go ahead and have these big budgets attached to these films, which they're 4-quadrant budgets, right? We have to appeal to a broader audience right there. And so for as well as Hoppers is said to have been doing from the Walt Disney Company themselves, I'm not sure if the numbers quite bear out the enthusiasm for that picture, but okay, we'll go with that. Some of the stuff that was in there was taken out, was removed in order to appeal to a bigger umbrella, right? And include a lot more people. And it worked out in that case. So it's like, okay, well, more of that, please, and less focusing in and honing in on, certain groups, certain ideologies, certain things that might otherwise be inherently divisive, or if not that, things that just might not appeal to the greater subset of consumers out there.
Right.
And hopefully Josh understands that. And he might, because he comes from consumer products, right? He understands what toys sell, what toys don't, what rides people go on, what rides people don't go on, and so forth. And you can kind of, chart a pathway that way. That's not so within an ideological framework. Hopefully that's the case. But we'll see. It's something that we don't know currently, but hopefully we'll get more answers soon on. Like I was saying before, Shogun was highlighted right there. Have you seen this, Erica?
No, it's been a long time since I've heard the name, but no, I have not seen it, but I haven't heard anything bad about it either.
This is the coolest show on the planet right there. This is literally, I think, the best show that Disney might have ever done, actually. And it's really good because it wasn't done by Disney exclusively. It was done by FX. No, I joke. I kid. But if there's one thing I will attribute to Dana as saying, hey, that was a great move right there. Shogun is certainly it right there. And season 2, I suppose, is in development, as was highlighted on the earnings call, which is very good to see for all those Shogun fans out there. And they talked about the next Disney cruise ship. We'll talk about the most recent cruise ship that made its debut right here. But you can see right here, this is the hype trailer for not just Disney Cruise Line, but the next Disney cruise ship. And that will be delivered, I believe, in 2027, if I'm not mistaken on that date. I'll double check for you. But it will be, as I skip here, the Believe ship.
Oh.
This is part of their strategy to have 13 vessels in the fleet by 2031.
Do we know yet where it's going to dock in and out from?
I believe it's going to be domestic. The Adventure is for a particular market, which is Singapore. I would believe that this is going to have domestic charters as well as maybe some international ones, of course. I know they want to go to Australia. They want to go to a lot of these other places. So I believe the Believe will be available
for Australia. They've been begging for a Disney park for years.
They have. And they were this close, Erica. They were this close.
I know they were. I'm like, come on, Disney, throw them a bone. They really want to. It would be great. I'd like to go visit to see SeaWorld. If they had a Disney park out there, that'd be like even more enticing.
Right. And, for all those history lovers out there and love those fun facts and Disney Australia and everything else, the first concepts actually for Soarin' that would eventually make its way to Disney California Adventure in 2001 and later on Epcot were actually done for Australia. And you're going to be flying over various parts of that continent right there, which is super, super cool. Unfortunately, though, that never came to pass in that way, but Soarin' obviously was continued there. I want to go ahead and highlight the Adventure now that we're on the subject of Disney Cruise Line. Apparently, this is right up your alley, Erica. The Iron Cycle, this coaster that is on board the Disney Adventure, is still not open. They're still having problems. They're still saying that we apologize, but the Iron Cycle coaster, again, one of the entertainment offerings that are available on this ship is not functioning. They're doing everything that they can, even getting Maurer Rides, the manufacturer, on board, as you can see right here, to work on it. And they've been testing, which has a lot of people like, oh, is it gonna go? You can see right here. These are the tests as provided by Theme Park Express right there. Awesome stuff. Definitely check his channel out right there. We can see, look, it's going. It looks awesome. It looks neat. It looks fun. But it's not available for guests. Here's the bad news. Again, this gets into the rumor and speculation territory, but I think it's accurate. There you go, from Walt's Park or Walt Spark, whichever one you want to go with right there. I want to go ahead and thank Rudio for getting this information to me, by the way. Thank you so much, good sir. Hearing that the roller coaster on the Disney Adventure Iron Cycle won't be working until the very least middle April. If that truly is the case, why wouldn't Disney have pushed back the maiden voyage until May 1st? They knew the coaster was a huge factor for people. Oh, not good. I don't like this. Erica, your thoughts, please, on this particular story.
From what I've heard about people in particular that cruise with Disney and are huge fans, they tend to book Disney because of the ships, not really because specifically of any one particular thing that's on them, because apparently the Disney ships are so vastly different than the rest of the cruise line industry. That's my understanding. Second, I think the reason why they're launching this sooner than later is because, like any business, you got to start making money. You've got to start turning over that revenue and those profits. And they are a business. Point. And I can't blame them. I would probably be making the same decision. Let's just get it going. Let's get people on. Let's start getting that money rolling in. And eventually we'll get this to work out. People can book another cruise down the road is probably their mentality. Now, whether you agree with that or not is another debate, but I'm thinking that's probably their mentality is if they miss the coaster on this booked trip, it gives them a more incentive to book another trip.
It's true. I just wish, Erica, it didn't have to work like that.
I know.
I do believe
it looks fun.
I know you make it an astute point, right? Very, very good observation in that they have to make their money back on this. Remember, this was $800 million over budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's like a lot of money. Whoa, I need a shot of tequila hearing that.
It's a good point right there.
Ooh,
man, I really wish this would have been. I really wish this would have been open. Unfortunately, not. Talking about money, though, Erica, I want to go ahead and bring this up here because money is a hot topic and definitely on the minds of people using cruise line. This is very interesting. Do I have the story ready? Uh-oh, I lost the link here. Give me a second, folks. We'll go ahead and find it. This is interesting because, before we get to money, I guess, staterooms, more problems. Theme Park Express famously got the small stateroom, right? And had the beds all collapse out. And well, you see how that went. Not looking very good in that respect. But he did get a deluxe inside stateroom for his second cruise with Disney Adventure. He really wanted to go ahead and try this out, I suppose. And he still didn't get his mattress.
No.
Yes. Even with this stateroom right here.
I take
Erica,
it that
I mean, are they ever going to learn their lesson here?
I'm a little confused on this because I mean it's the Asian market, so I'm kind of lost on who ultimately is making the decisions in terms of that kind of details. And because all the other cruise ships I've heard are just excellent with all those details and being hospitable and making sure your stay is comfortable and so I don't it's just a little weird for the Disney Cruise Line
to not give you mattresses.
To miss that. Yeah. I'm like this but it's the Asian market too, so part of me is kind of like I could kind of see I
guess, but I
can't explain it. Like I've lived there, so it's really hard to articulate unless you've lived in an Asian country. It's Well, because, okay, they are used to sleeping on hard surfaces. So culturally, it's probably not. I mean, I'm when we went to our first Japanese furniture store, and it wasn't just a furniture store, it was a mattress store, and they sold beds. Not only did they have American style mattresses, they also had marble beds made out of marble where you laid, where you laid on the cold stone marble. And and it was the most, I mean, for an American, it was very bizarre, but at the same time, it made sense. They do sleep on hard culture. It's just how it is out there. They sleep right on the floor. Beds are, for the most part, it's on the floor. I mean, Japanese housing is doesn't have to have a bed. They're fine with just blankets and pillows just right there on like a mat, you know. It's like a mat bed.
Well,
and that's just their culture. That's just how it is, you know. And
I guess,
and that's all I can think of is that's why that's maybe this is where culturally it doesn't translate, you know.
Perhaps.
That's what I'm thinking. I could be completely wrong. It just I'm just thinking the Asian market, it's probably not big of a deal to them because
okay, so Chef Eddie comes in here with the I have heard of people sleeping like a rock, but not on a rock.
It is very true.
With the marble, you can, which is very interesting.
Yeah, they'll take naps outside under trees. They have like a nap time in Japan during in the middle of the workday, like their own form of siesta. And yeah, it's a fascinating culture. I love, you know, it was the 3 years that we were there. But yeah, that's the only thing. That's all I've got from living, at least in Japan. I'm just thinking it's not a massive priority for an Asian market, and if the ship is not even going to be leaving the Asian market,
it's just going to be it's
not surprising. Don't expect the mattress pads and all that cushioning that we're used to more west.
Okay.
It's a little tough pill to swallow.
If this ever makes it to an American market or any other market for that matter, better include those mattresses.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Perfectly placed, MJ. Thank you so much for that. I want to go ahead and highlight this other story here because I don't know how this translates in Singapore, but I know
yes, God bless American mattresses. I agree.
That's right. That's what is it? It's mostly other countries, but mostly America.
It's called a salute to all nations, but mostly America.
That's the one. Okay, this thing, not a fan of. Maybe we see it in other cruises with, you know, maybe the Dream or the Magic or the Wish or any of those others. Here you go, folks. Monetization hitting the cruise lines. Theme Park Express again. Disney Cruise Line has launched a new paid fireworks reserved viewing area on board the Disney Adventure. This $50 per person event includes plush seats, a Lion King pin, drinks, desserts, and of course a prime view of the fireworks. You can kind of see right here what you get with that. Hello there, Theme Park Express. Good to see you. Yes, and you can see right there a little bit of what he's getting right there. You can see the Lion King pin. You can also see the selection of desserts for
Is that
your
a chocolate-covered strawberry?
Maybe? I don't know. It could be. And he gave it a good review. Now, okay. So he said here, the reserved fireworks viewing is totally worth it, in my opinion. If this is your first time on the ship, the sheer number of bodies on the open deck is insane. For this show, I mean, it's a 10,000 person cruise ship right there. And to not have to worry about finding a spot early and sitting for an hour while being comfortable, sipping alcohol and eating desserts makes this experience a no-brainer. On the first cruise, we experienced being in the crowd, and things got hot and uncomfortable very quickly. To my knowledge, this experience can only be booked on board, but I'll find out more on this for the next cruise.
Good to know.
Erica?
I've never been on a cruise, so that's good information.
It is good information, that's for sure. Definitely check out Theme Park Express, folks. He has some great cruise line coverage. Like, he has taken Alaskan cruises via Disney. He has done a lot of these cruises on these various ships right here, up and down the fleet. Very good stuff. Definitely check him out. Erica, this monetization.
Yeah.
This kind of nickel and diming, we saw it at the parks.
Mm-hmm.
And now there are multiple fireworks viewing areas that you can attend all around and inside Magic Kingdom, right? Now we're starting to see this kind of stuff make its way out at sea with the cruise line. How do you feel about this nickel and diming hitting DCL?
I have mixed feelings now, because before I was like really against it, but because I've never been on a cruise and reading his review, I don't know, if it gets that crowded and uncomfortable, I could kind of see why they did it. I'm not why couldn't they do this for maybe, do they have like their own club, like club membership kind of thing?
Concierge.
Like a crew or I think for an elite level like that, and it's already paid for, I think would have been a better option versus the versus this. That's just me. I mean, tomato, really, when I put it that way.
That's a fair point. So concierge, having this limited concierge, I think might be very interesting, right? Because you already have a concierge level. You already have people paying a higher price point for those elevated services right there. I could definitely see this being brought out for concierge specifically. But this furthering of these monetization efforts, in which it's like, hey, you want to get the good spots? Well, you got to pay a little bit extra.
You got to pay for it.
Right? And that's why I posted my tweet that I did, something to the effect of, hey, at least the cruise line is philosophically consistent with the parks. That is, nobody's a VIP unless you pay extra. I don't like this, Eric, just on principle. And yes, it's always, hey, if it's a need. And look, I remember back in the day when Disneyland rolled out Max Pass. This was like 2015, 2016. All those years ago, it was, hey, here's a digital form of Fast Pass, and now you can go ahead and add it on. $10 per day was the introductory price of Max Pass back in the day. It's like, oh, okay, I can book my Fast Passes on my mobile device. This is great, and in some cases, it was actually included with your annual pass purchase, which was unfortunate because if you wanted to, be at the top spot there and utilize Fast Pass to its fullest extent, kind of had to pay for Max Pass at that point. But hey, it was only $10 a day, and it fit a need. Now we have $40 to ride one ride per person in some cases, like Rise of Resistance, Tron, and so forth, right? And that was just 10 years. That was the evolution of Max Pass to now what we have, multi-pass Lightning Lane or single pass Lightning Lane. These things start out very affordable. Oh, $50 a person, no big deal. It's very crowded, makes sense. And that justification in the minds of consumers is what Disney uses to extract more money out of you.
Yeah.
I don't like it, Erica. I don't like it.
And the fact that it sounds like you can only add it once you're there versus in advance to kind of budget, prepay for it in advance in your vacation package. Oh, goodness. My thing too is you're also on a ship. Can't you see the fireworks from any point on the ship too? I mean, are there really, quote, better viewing points and other points when you're out in the middle of the ocean and you're on a massive ship? I just assumed you could really be anywhere on the ship and you could see these things go, the fireworks go up. So I don't, in a way, I kind of don't understand a deluxe viewing point when you're out in the middle of the ocean.
Well, these deluxe viewing locations, right? You got the seats, right? You're
paying for, and that's just it. Yeah, you're paying for the seats and the food more than the actual view of the fireworks, because technically you can view the fireworks anywhere on board, at least anywhere on the exterior of the ship where you're exposed outside. So that was, yeah. I mean, they're okay.
You're right. You're right about the fact that. Oh, go ahead, please. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
I'm just looking at the seats and the chairs, and I'm like, did they buy them off Amazon? I'm sorry,
It sounds like those seats are more comfortable than the beds. It's pretty. It's not
maybe
bad.
on the Disney Adventure.
There you go,
dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to appeal to the honeymooners. Maybe they get a lot of couples, but
That's
for
true.
a family, that's steep. $50 a pop a head.
Yeah, $200 for a show like this.
No, there's no way a family is going to shell out that kind of money. But couples and just adults, yeah. But even then, I don't know. I just knowing me and my husband, me and Raph, I don't think we'd pay for that because we'd be the ones walking around just lost puppies. Oh, we can see it from here. Oh, let's walk over here, see if we can see it from there. And I don't know if I could stand in one place. I feel like I'd be pacing everywhere.
Yeah. I think the seats help for sure, especially to add that value right there. Look, listen, folks, it's $50. No big deal. Maybe it's cred. Maybe it is cred. I mean, it's a 10,000 person vessel right there. People were already saying that, hey, look, it's going to be cred in these areas and so forth. So to get an advantage like that, right? If I'm paying $50, I'm eating a whole bushel of chocolate strawberries. Yes,
for
yes,
real.
Indeed.
That's
no,
the
I
other
don't
thing.
want individual selections. I want the whole thing. Go ahead.
The only thing that looks appetizing is, I think, those are chocolate covered strawberries. I don't know. It's the only thing that really looks appetizing to me.
What, you don't want this
and
macaroni and cheese looking
I don't
thing
know
right
what
here?
I don't know what that is. It looks weird. And was that a Twinkie with some guava sauce coming up on top of it?
And so
don't know.
what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture. But what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language.
There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Reverie Attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
Love it. I love that because it's like we're trying to determine from the shapes.
Based on shape, what it is we're going to...
Perfect.
Okay, and that's another thing, too, that's irritating. And Disney doesn't really put this out a whole lot, but what about people that have, that are diabetic, maybe recovering alcoholics?
Yeah.
They want to experience these immersive environments, but they can't because there's nothing sugar-free or alcohol-free on the menu. So it's
That's
like they're screwed they're screwed. Oh, they're damned if they're doing, damned if they do, and it's kind of, it's sad because then you feel like you really can't participate. It's not worth the money because there's literally nothing for you.
That's a really, really great point right there, especially with, drink culture, I think, has looked very differently now. I mean, in terms of alcohol sales nationwide, it's gone down for sure. So you can attribute that to many things. Obviously, the onset of, insulin blockage in some people, not very good. Make it more inclusive for sure. $50, a little steep. Erica, if I see this on regular cruise lines, we're coming back to this conversation right here because this is how it starts, folks. This is how it starts. This is how they wiggle their way in right there. But there's one last story I want to get to before we close this whole thing out right here. 2 hours, 150 or so out there, YouTube and X. I want to go ahead and thank every single one of you. And as a celebration of this amazing live stream, I have to talk about something. Absolutely. That's your applause right there, folks, for you. Thank you so much. I want to go ahead and highlight one last thing. This I thought was super, super cool. It is the Jurassic Park experience at Universal Studios Hollywood. Okay, they're getting ready for FanFest right now, and this will be a FanFest item. They have soft open this experience in advance. It is super cool. We did hear about the actors being cast for these roles. One, Sir Ian Malcolm, the other, John Hammond, and I do believe the portly fellow from there. Newman. I can't remember his name right now. But you can see right here, they do have a lot of displays out there of various props that have been actually featured in the Jurassic Park films. Very, very cool stuff. But it's the acting, I think, that really has everybody clamoring for this and more. Let me see if I can go ahead and get a little bit of this on screen right here because it's so awesome. Here's your Ian Malcolm, this by Inside Universal, as you can see right there. Super cool. It's not just that. Erica, you've got to hear him. Sounds just like him. Here we go.
What we do here now, right, is going to have a wide effect on the world outside of this place, right?
I'm going to pause it right there just for the music, and then go ahead.
Like this part, and the mad scientists here at England do not understand that, especially John Hammond. He does not get that the little things that he's doing here for Jurassic Park are going to affect everything around us, right?
That is crazy.
Jeez.
Just like him.
What vocal training did he go through to wow.
I have no idea. Here he is talking about chaos theory. Amazing. There we go. Let's see if we can get some audio here. Boop. And louder.
Does he do the little water thing with the cup?
All a part of that unpredictable variable scheme that is chaos. You do all know about chaos theory, right?
No, tell me.
You ever heard of butterfly effect? The butterfly effect?
Yes.
If any little small thing that you do now have a mass effect on things to come, even around the world, my friend. So do not think for a second that you do not matter in this world, all right? You all do. I will say this, all right? And life finds a way. It always has and always will, right? Yes. Try telling Dr. Henry Rue about that, right?
I'm going to tell
him that this is just a bad idea.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, that guy really has it. But it wasn't just that. This by Five Fires right here, which, by the way, Five Fires did an excellent job covering all of this. I want to go ahead and shout him out to the highest places that I possibly can because he did an excellent job covering this in his big YouTube video. You can go ahead and check it out on his channel. Here you go. The Velociraptors come loose and start causing all this terror and destruction and so forth, throwing people around. This is super, super cool right here. So you get Blue and you get another Velociraptor, and they're trying to wrangle them together. It's this little show that they do. I don't know how frequent, but they I think it's like 5 minutes or something like that. Super, super awesome. Very, very cool. It's just an extra layer, right, on top of this Jurassic Park experience. Now, unfortunately, this is a flex space for them. And, aesthetically, right, maybe it's not as strong as your immersive themed lands, like Super Nintendo World, for instance. But with the entertainment actually presented, with the props presented, with the actors interacting with you, this is super, super cool. Erica, your initial thoughts to the Jurassic Park experience at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Are they going to bring this into the actual Jurassic Park areas of the parks? This interaction down the road? Or is it just going to be for FanFest nights, reserved for the FanFest events?
I think this is going to be reserved for FanFest because these are a lot of props and so forth that have been featured in the films.
Okay.
So you can't really duplicate those. You could send them to other places, but I think this might be strictly for FanFest. That doesn't mean, though, that Jurassic Park Experience for FanFest doesn't come to Orlando when FanFest might be eventually brought out to Orlando. That's a possibility. But right now, I think it's limited to this kind of.
I mean, like the actors, like Disney terms here, because I haven't completely converted all terminology to Universal terminology. But like the face characters,
yes, that
would be a cool element to add, even in Orlando, to the Jurassic Park. But there again, I have not been in so long. I don't. It's hard for me to envision the area of the park because I have not been to Universal and literally since the first Harry Potter World opened. That was the last time we went.
Well, now you got to go back.
I know we're way past. But this guy here, I saw this video clip.
Let's watch
he
this.
Looks like him.
I know.
He looks like. Oh my gosh.
This is from High Universal right here. I want to go ahead and highlight the voice as well. If I can get the audio working. Come on, guys. Let's go. Our attractions will be astounding. Okay.
To Jurassic Park. You are in for a treat. You are about to experience something that has never been available in the entire history of humankind. You must come down and see what it's all about for yourselves.
And there's no doubt our attractions will drive kids out of their minds.
Come on, Erica.
Are they going to have the blood-sucking attorney too?
Yeah, exactly. Noel,
are they going to have him? That'd be funny if they brought him in.
We need the lawyer.
You got to have the lawyer and them bantering back and forth, and the lawyer be like, "Oh, we got a coupon day. Anybody interested in a coupon day?"
We need the lawyer. I agree with you. That's the one thing.
Man.
It's one element
Wasn't he
missing.
the one that got eaten on the toilet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. He got his comeuppance, as it were, right? We do have another one. I'm trying to find it, folks. Sorry. This is from Theme Park Shark this time, who did a really, really big clip here. If I can skip through it. No, this is not the one. Is it this one? Yes, I believe it's this one. Again, Theme Park Shark. Yeah, so we have...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Does he have his little shaving cream thing with him?
Yeah. He was asked about that. Yeah.
What a weird random question.
I'm just
Oh my gosh.
Is it my 5 o'clock shadow?
No, I've heard about an interesting means of, transportation through...
I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
No, I don't know who you've been talking to or who's been talking to you. Literally no idea what's going on.
Fair enough. I'll drop it.
He's like the lazy IT guy.
All
Nobody
right.
cares, right? Nobody's listening.
Great Wayne Knight impression. This by
Do you like
this
what they're doing
Dennis.
here? Or what do you think is the overall?
My friend, no, I think this is a perversion of Mother Nature. They like to say it's discovery, but it's discovery is a violent act. It's a violent act, right? And what they're doing here is by far, in any way, just terrible. And I can only
Oh my gosh.
hate that danger and chaos are around every corner. If any of these statues are any sign of the future, it's not going to go well for us.
Oh, it's so good. Dennis
Jeez, and with the music, I want to cry. It was like such a great performance. Wow. But to be fair, there's no way you're going to find at that level of acting talent in Florida.
I agree with you.
That pool doesn't really exist in Florida. So it makes a lot more sense to have this in California on the Hollywood side. But in the Improv, I'm floored at the Improv and how long they can hold it and just keep going and going. And they're not really fed any lines. It's just, I can't do that. I don't have that kind of talent. I would eventually just kind of go,
yeah, this is make believe.
No. I'm done. Exactly. I don't know what else to say.
I agree with you. This is so good. I remember too when the actors were out for Back to the Future, and I went up to Doc, and I said, "Hey Doc, you got a license for that scientific equipment that you're setting up there?" And he's
really
like, "Of course." Yes, and he's like, "Of course I do," and he slips me a fake 20 or whatever, and it was like, "Oh my goodness,
that is awesome!" Well, he was ready for that one.
Oh,
jeez,
so good, So, Universal Studios Hollywood, just batting it out the park again. We actually just got a word as well that Sailor Moon will be featured at FanFest Nights as well. So now we have
that's
two
an old
pieces.
school, but Sailor Moon has held in popularity over the decades. I mean, Sailor Moon doesn't it go back to the 90s?
Oh yeah, absolutely. 90s, maybe even the 80s. In terms of the cultural impact that it's had in America, it really did launch the manga phenomenon, which got people so many interest in Japanese culture. And then the anime was massive, huge, massive deal right there. Sailor Moon will also be featured there. So for female representation, you definitely have that right there. And then One Piece, obviously, in the Waterworld Theater. So 2 pieces of anime. You have Monsters going into the and Scooby-Doo in the back lot. Jurassic Park Experience right there. Soft open to guests. Very, very cool. You have Yoshi coming back, Dungeons and Dragons, Harry Potter stuff, and more. It's looking to be awesome.
No,
and I know.
so
Oh, go ahead, please.
no sneak peeks on the Scooby-Doo characters.
Not yet.
I can't
Not
wait
yet.
I can't wait to see those actors and see how they perform. And that's the best part of these fan fest nights, is interacting with the characters. And gosh, and so far, so good. It seems like it doesn't matter what they put out there. They really know how to find talent, and they deliver.
Absolutely. I mean, it is super, super cool. I cannot wait to see, more of this stuff right here. Like you said, they deliver. They really do come up to the plate. I know that people, maybe we're a little bit disappointed with Star Trek and so forth. I think they're getting their groove, though. I think they're really finding the IPs that really appeal to just about everybody. Star Trek was huge, but
I'm telling you, they're testing the waters for park expansions down the road. I'm still holding to that idea that this is in part, not so much the whole reason, but in part why they're doing these fan fest nights, to see if doing a land expansion is worth it, worth their money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So very cool. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to go to FanFest. And I know for a fact, Erica, that just the Jurassic Park experience alone has sold tickets by itself. That's how excited people are for all of this. So very cool. Can't wait to get into it. We're going to have more FanFest coverage on this channel and more. We have so many news items to get to, folks. We couldn't do it in one show. We got to come back tomorrow and do it again. Like, for example, Six Flags. Oh, my goodness. There's a little bit of shareholder revolt going on.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Not good, Erica. It's not good. That's for sure. I guess Travis Kelce coming on board. He's looking for some changes. We have people exiting rides again when they're not supposed to. That's a very interesting story. We have a famous chef, been with the company for 20 years, actually, at Disney, now leaving. I have met him before. Very, very respected guy. But to leave so suddenly, right before Jill actually makes her way as the president of Disneyland Resort. Very interesting stuff. Knott's Berry Farm really doubling down on their entertainment offerings, saying that they want to be the world leader in entertainment. Fascinating. All that and more. Coming up on
I just want to taste the fried chicken and the boysenberry stuff.
Yes. Erica, I love that you said that, because I want to taste it too. Some of that stuff.
I'm trying to lose weight so I can gain it all back.
Perfect. That's exactly
a juggling act. You don't want to go over a certain number. So when you hit the threshold, you drop the weight and then you eat and it goes back up, and it's this cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Speaking of, that's exactly how you want to do it. No dietary or nutrition advice here. Chef Eddie, the man who invented Dole Whip, is leaving. No, I don't think he was ever at the company.
The man who invented Dole Whip.
But somebody else has left, and it's got a lot of people like, whoa, this is a big, big loss right here. All that and more coming up on the next show. Erica, where can the people find you out there? What do you got going on, Brute Bantering Friday? Please, go ahead.
Oh, man. There's so much has come out this week that we are going to try and banter about. My best friend, Sunflower, is coming back. She went to Universal last week, which is why she couldn't join us. And she did their disability program. She also has a story on scooter rentals for anybody who, so she's got a really cool story of her experience as a first timer, needing disability access, and good and bad, up and down. And then, gosh, there's just so much coming down the pipeline this week. Not only the Disney news, but just a bunch of funny random things that have been showing up on mine and Raph's social medias. So, but yeah, we just get together, have a good time with friends. No specific topics or niche. It's just whatever organic conversation comes up. We like to laugh. It's Friday, and we start at 2 p.m. Eastern time after that Park Place, and we call it Brewed Banter. So you just bring your brew, coffee, tea, beer, and it's like you're just sitting in our living room with us, just hanging out with us.
Fantastic. I love it. I love what you do, Erica. I love Root Banter. I think it's a really I try to catch every single one. I saw the last show. It's a pretty full house right there.
I know, it was unexpectedly a full house last week. I was even overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, like everybody's here.
Everybody, and so I knew that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to hold back a little bit here because there's a lot of people here.
I felt bad for Lorena because there was just so many people on panel. And it really, we don't know who's coming from week to week. So it's element of surprise. And the conversations can get pretty loud. You know, I'm used to it because I'm half Cuban. So I'm used to the loud banter. And of course, Raph, he's half Puerto Rican, half Panamanian. So we're just, we're used to the loud, like, but it can be a lot if you're not used to that.
Well, don't worry. I'm used to it. So, and I love being on there. So thank you so much for having me as much as you have. And I will ensure that I will be there many more times to come for
the door's always open for you.
Thank you. Very much appreciate that. Go and Shogi has a link to Erica's amazing channel in the chat right there. But if you are watching this on the replay and so forth, or maybe you want another link, in the description as well. In fact, all of the panelists, their links are in the description. So please go ahead, click on those and get around and support our amazing panelists like Ron from All the Brothers Fun and OG55. Very cool stuff indeed. I want to go ahead and ask you though, and the audience at home. Okay, so somebody asked, "Hey, can we change this? Can we change the time to Thursday because Marvin happens to be streaming at that point?" And yes, that was a little bit of an oversight on our behalf right there. I tried to map out everything. I was like, okay, let's go ahead and let's make sure, ensure, possibly, hopefully, maybe we don't stream over our friends because we never want to do that. And it just so happened that, well, that was also his spot. It was overlooked by a lot of us when we were actually mapping this out, which was really unfortunate right there. So, would you guys, please let me know in the chat, and as well, I'm going to be putting on a poll on this very, very shortly, but would you guys be willing to go maybe like an hour earlier? That way, we might still bleed over into Marvin just a little bit right there, but we can provide them the redirect, and we can still get our West Coast friends on, because unfortunately, with a 3-hour time difference, a lot of them don't get off until about 5 o'clock right there. So, at least California time, right? So it's like, okay, how can we kind of work this to where we don't take over Marvin's show, still provide him the space to do his thing, but also to provide everything to you at home, something that you'd be wanting to tune into, and obviously it's going to be very compelling for you. I want to go ahead and hear from the audience. Remember, this is your guys' show as well as it is mine. So please go ahead, let me know your thoughts on that. I want to go ahead and be respectful
Should we do a poll?
Of everybody around us. Okay.
I don't know how to do it. Do you maybe
Here's
do
the
a
thing, Erica.
chat poll?
I don't know how to do it. I have been on YouTube.
How do we do this? Hold on a second.
I have been on YouTube for forever.
I don't know how to do
a poll. Okay, we'll do an informal poll. How about this, folks? All right. 1 in the chat if you want 1 hour earlier. Give me a 0 in the chat if you do not. If you prefer it to be at its normal time, that being 8 o'clock Eastern. Please let me know. 7 p.m. Eastern, that's 1. Put a 1 in the chat. Or 8 p.m. Eastern, that's going to be a 0. Please let me know right there. Chef Eddie Kit Kat, out the gate.
Disney fan 55. Well, he retracted his message, but he said maybe do a poll in the community tab. Are you able to do that?
I am able to do a poll in the community tab, but we are getting feedback live.
Oh, yeah,
right
we
now.
are.
We got a lot of ones in the chat. Okay. A lot of people are like, hey, let's go ahead and move it earlier. Let's go ahead and move it earlier, Almost
everyone. Yeah. I mean, it's only an hour earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's our poll. That's perfect right there.
Nice.
Again, it's your channel, folks. Please let us know what you want, and we will go ahead and do our best to achieve what you want. I want this to be your favorite, or at least one of your favorite YouTube channels. Excuse me. Erica, she's going to be your favorite too.
Oh, so I'm biased. This is one of my favorite channels. I'll say it.
All right, good. 111. Yeah, universally. Okay, guys. All right, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's where we're going live right there. Again, we might bleed into Marvin just a little bit, but don't worry, folks. We will go ahead and redirect you over to Marvin's M4 Empire right there after the show. That way you can catch the most of both, okay? So that's the way we'll do it. I still want to have West Coast people on. Sometimes, they got to get off work. So there might be a little bit of overlap, but we'll try to keep it as minimum as possible, and we will provide you the very best coverage possible. Okay? If it's a problem, maybe we'll go ahead and do it. If that's adjust things even further. But for right now, 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow is when our live show is going to be. I'll go ahead and get that live stream up there as soon as this one's done. Thank you so much for joining us here at Vash Sky Parkcast. You know what to do right there. Erica and Raph, make sure you go ahead and go over to her channel, subscribe, get notified when she goes live, because Root Banter is a whole lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. Follow Bradley's
you get
Fun.
to see us out of our norm.
That's
a lot
true.
of us.
That's true. That's true. I want to thank Ron for all the Bradley's Fun. Erica once again, OG55 as well. Links in the chat below right there. And to MJ for doing a great, fantastic job producing this live stream as well. Unfortunately, she had to leave a little bit early. That's okay, though. I want to go ahead and thank her. And thank you all for a tremendous day right here. Shareholders Week! Oh, my goodness. Hopefully we provide the coverage that you all, tune in to see. And thank you for getting us monetized. More information on that next week, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. America, everybody, we are signing off right here. Remember, the sky is the limit.